All right, so different factors determine how elastic a good is. So, there are different goods that have kind of innate properties or, situational properties that make it more or less elastic. So let's talk about them. So in general, the less elastic a good is, aka the more inelastic a good is, the more you need it, the more you have to have it. Like at this moment, I need this, right? That is an inelastic good, right? And that's reflected in the graph because, in an inelastic good, something that you need, when the price increases, you're not going to scale back your production just because, or your consumption just because the price increased, right? You need this good, okay? So what are goods that you might need? Something that has less substitutes, right? So if there's only a few ways to consume that good to meet that need versus having many ways to meet that need, the chance that any particular price increase is going to dissuade you is going to be, low. If, there's only one, let's say you're diabetic, right? You need your insulin. If there's only one way to get insulin, guess what? The price of insulin increases. You're still going to get that insulin, okay? But if, let's say, you're going to the grocery store and you see that the price of Coca-Cola rose by triple, well, guess what? You'll probably consume, something else. You'll probably consume Pepsi or Sunkist or something like that, or just drink water because the price increase, is not worth it because you can consume something else. You have alternatives. Okay, so the less substitutes, the more inelastic a good is. Okay, the more substitutes, the more elastic a good is. Okay, necessity is another thing, right? So you need insulin. There's no substitutes for it, but let's say there were substitutes, but you still need something along the lines of insulin. Well, even if there's 3 other substitutes, you're still more inelastic with insulin than you are with soda because guess what? You don't need soda. Even if there was only 2 types of soda, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and both rose their price, you might just not consume soda at all because you don't need it. If there's 2 insulin providers and both of them rose their price, you're going to end up buying one of the insulins because you need it, right? So you're going to be less price sensitive to a particular good the more you need it. Okay, so you don't really have an option to decrease your consumption of insulin because it's a medical necessity. Okay, so substitutes, necessity. What else? The impact on your wallet. So even if, let's say insulin costs 25 cents, right? Imagine that they increase the cost of insulin. Let's say it's like your monthly cost of insulin was 25 cents. Imagine they increase the cost of insulin by 5 times. Well, that's $1.25. This is something that you're going to consume, right? And the fact that it's 5 times more expensive isn't really going to register with you. It's not breaking your bank. Let's say your monthly insulin bill is $100, and they increase the price by 3 times. So they're increasing the price by lower, but it's already a higher share of your budget. Well, guess what? If it's a higher share of your budget, a 3-time increase is going to drive you kind of more away from the good. So, even though you probably can or shouldn't, you might be like, all right, let me stretch out this insulin so that I can make it last, right? Or you'll more likely have to cut out something else. Let's not use insulin for that example. Let's use soda, right? So if the price of a soda increases from $2 to $3, sure, that's a 150% increase. You might consume less soda. But if your monthly soda budget increases from $100 to $200, probably you have a soda problem. But you're definitely going to decrease your soda consumption because that's a large increase and it's going to have a meaningful impact on your wallet, right? All right, finally, if you can't wait to consume something, that's obviously going to have an effect on the elasticity of a good, right? So if you need this good right now, let's say you're in a pandemic, so to speak. I don't know why I would think of that. But let's say you're in a pandemic and you need a mask to go to a store, and the price of masks is now expensive. Well, guess what? You're probably still going to buy the mask because you need it to meet your to go buy things so that you can eat and, I don't know, function as a human being. Well, if you need to do that today, if you need to go to the grocery store because you're completely out of food, or you need to go to some food store or whatever, you're going to pay a larger amount for the mask than if you can wait a month to buy it and price shop or whatever, right? If you can't wait to buy the mask, then you're going to be willing to pay a higher price. Okay, so that's going to make you less price sensitive, so more inelastic. Okay, so if there's not a lot of substitutes, if it's something that you need, if it's something that's not that a price increase isn't going to break your bank, and if it's something that you kind of need right now, all four of them will make the good less elastic, or more inelastic, if you want to say it that way. Okay, you're going to be less price sensitive. Your quantity demanded will shift by a little, even if the price increases by a lot. Okay, so that's an inelastic good. Okay, and then finally, I just want to kind of map out. We have a number line with the price elasticity of demand, and just the different categories of elasticities. So at the very back end, we have perfectly inelastic. This is a good that when you raise the price from 25 cents to $1 million, consumption is not going to change at all. Okay, your quantity demanded will not change. That is a perfectly inelastic good. Okay, and if you were to look at the formula, you could see this because the numerator, Q new minus Q old, quantity demanded new minus quantity demanded old, is going to be zero. The quantity demanded is not going to change. It's going to be zero, so the whole fraction is going to be zero. Okay, your elasticity of demand, your price elasticity of demand is going to be zero. That's perfectly inelastic demand. Anything between 0 and 1 is just regular inelastic demand. Okay, basically what that's saying is, given a price increase, quantity decrease is going to be lower than the price increase in percentage terms. Okay, and basically what that's saying is that you have a large price increase, quantity demand is going to go down, but it's not going to be going down as much as the price increase went up. Okay, unit elastic is you have a price increase, and the percent change in quantity is going to be exactly the same. Okay, or vice versa, if you have a price decrease, the percent increase in quantity is going to be exactly the same as the percent change of price decrease. Okay. So anything between 0 and 1 is regular inelastic. Anything between 1 and infinity is elastic. Okay. So that just means that as the price increases by, let's say, a lot, let's say the price increases by a lot, well, quantity demanded as a percentage, like both of these are in percents, the quantity demanded is going to increase by even more. Okay, so quantity demanded increases are always going to be greater than the price increases for elastic demand curves. And then finally, you have perfectly elastic demand, which is when you have even the slightest change in price is either going to drive the quantity demanded to 0 or to infinity and beyond. to infinity, just because the demand curve is essentially a straight line, okay? A straight horizontal line. Okay, so if you increase the price by even a little, well, guess what? People can consume the good elsewhere. So quantity demanded is going to go to 0. If you increase the price by, or if you decrease the price by a little, well, guess what? You're now the lowest price producer in the market. So everybody's gonna want to consume from you. Okay, so that's perfectly elastic demand. It's going to be just a straight horizontal line. Okay, and the only options for deviation from that is zero or infinity. If you're not pricing at the intersection between supply and demand, and you increase your price unilaterally, you're either, if you increase it, you're going to zero, the quantity demanded. If you decrease your price, you're going to infinity. Okay. And then what about revenue? Okay, so where here does revenue increase? So anything where the demand is inelastic should have a revenue increase, because the quantity change is going to be offset by the quantity decrease is going to be offset by the price increase. Okay, and anything where the demand curve is elastic will have the opposite, a revenue decrease, because the quantity decrease will not be offset by the price increase. Okay, and that unit elasticity, revenue is going to be flat regardless of the change. Okay.